Hi, my name is Ko van Stiphout. I am the designer of Rite and the founder of Dotwood Games. Rite is a game illustrated by Frederik van der Punt, and in this video I'm going to give you a short explanation on how to play it. In short, Rite is an asymmetric tactical wargame in which players summon units, move them around, trying to complete objectives. While doing so, they unlock powerful spells, summon mighty commanders, and evade a powerful fire lord that is trying to burn them off his volcano. To explain the factions in short, the humans are all about protection and survival. The goblins want to set this world on fire and sacrifice themselves in the process. Undead swarm this world with endless hordes of skeletons. Chaos tries to infiltrate all other factions and destroy them from within. And the Primals are all about smart hunting and eating and growing. Now, before we can start playing Rite, we first have to generate a map. The first way to do this is to look at the rulebook and just take one of the pre-made maps that are in there. The second way to create a map is at random. To do this, you take the tiles and you place them one by one with the basic side up, flipping them as you place them. The third way to create a map is to divide the tiles as explained in the rulebook and take turns strategically placing the tiles one by one. After generating the map, players should have the following things in front of them: a faction sheet, unit cards with unit tokens, power cards, and some wooden markers. Let's have a look at the faction sheet. What we see here are 3 energy tracks: the round energy track, the reserve energy track, and the faction energy track. Only the upper 2 energy tracks, round and reserve, can be used during your turn to perform actions. On a player's turn, he can basically do 3 things: summon a unit, move a unit, or defeat a unit. Summoning a unit. Each player can summon 3 different non-commander units. Each unit has a different cost of 1, 2, or 3 energy, indicated on the unit card and on the unit token. To summon a unit, a player spends energy equal to its cost and places it on a summoning tile of his faction. The primal player may summon only hatchlings. A player can only summon units from his reserve. Units cannot be summoned on inaccessible tiles. Some game effects allow players to summon units on other tiles than their summoning tiles. Moving a unit. A player can move a unit X tiles for X energy. Units cannot move to an inaccessible tile, like the Fire Lord, the Fire Elemental, or the Earth Elemental tile, or a tile already containing another unit or rock. A tile containing a fire token is considered an accessible tile. A unit can move through friendly units, but not through enemy units. When moving a unit with this action, power, or unit ability, the entire movement must be possible. A player can defeat an enemy unit adjacent to one of his own units by spending an amount of energy equal to the enemy unit's cost, plus 1 energy for every unit of the same enemy adjacent to it, called backup, minus 1 energy for every unit of the active player's faction adjacent to it, called surround. The attacking unit does not contribute to surround. A player can choose to defeat one of his own units. In this case, he ignores backup and surround. A defeated unit is placed back in the reserve. Other actions are explained later in this video. What is very important is that a player can only do 1 thing during his turn that requires energy, or he must pass. A player may never spend energy on more than 1 action. A player may take as many actions as he likes that do not require energy. On the overview sheet, we see the turn order. In this case, humans go first, then goblins, undead, chaos, and finally primals. When a player decides to pass, his faction marker will go down to the pass track. determining the order of the next round. Once all players have passed, a few things happen. First, the human player activates shrines. If the human player has a friendly cleric or an angel on a shrine tile, and there are at least 3 friendly units adjacent to the same shrine tile, the shrine tile is activated. Step 2. Move markers from the pass track to the turn order track. Move all wooden markers from the pass track to the turn order track. They remain in the same order. Step 3. Move the round marker 1 space to the right. If it is on 10, leave it there. Step 4. Gain round energy. All players place the wooden marker on the round energy track on the same number as is indicated by the round track. Step 5. Gain faction energy. All players gain faction energy that is gained at the end of a round from Lightbringers, Firebringers, Deathbringers, Chaosbringers and activated shrine tiles. Step 6. Convert faction energy to reserve energy. All players move their faction energy to their reserve energy. This is indicated by moving the wooden marker on the faction energy track to 0 and by moving the wooden marker on the reserve energy track up by the same amount. Faction energy always goes back to 0, even if a part of it cannot be converted to reserve energy. Step 7. Unlock powers. Players unlock their power cards. At the start of the game, all power cards are face down. At the end of a round, step 7, if a player has a total of 5 energy or more in his round energy pool plus his reserve energy pool, he may flip the power card with a 5 on its back face up. He can use the first slot to activate the power written on the card anytime during one of his turns. Once a slot is used, place a wooden marker on the slot to indicate this. Powers require no energy to use, except for Chaos, his puppet power. If a player has a total of 10 energy or more in his round energy pool plus his reserve energy pool, he may flip the power card with a 10 on its back face up. Additionally, he may now use the 10 slot of his first power. Once he has 15 energy, flip the next power card face up, and so on. Power cards on which the text starts with round are placed next to the overview sheet once activated, to indicate that they are active. The player who activated this power takes it back at the end of a round. Each player can perform a Rite of Power to immediately unlock all his powers. How to perform a Rite of Power is explained further in this video. Each power can only be used once per turn. Step 8. Chaos scores controlled unit points. If Chaos is in play, Chaos scores controlled unit points. Step 9. The Volcano. The first player in turn order rolls the wipe die and applies the result. 4 things happen. First, the Firefly units. Defeat the unit on the Firefly tile that corresponds with the rolled number. If there is no unit present, summon a Firefly on this tile. If there is a Firefly present, it moves onto the closest non-commander enemy unit, defeating both the enemy unit and the Firefly. If there are multiple closest targets, it defeats the unit of the player that is first in turn order. If multiple closest targets belong to the same player that is first in turn order, the Firefly defeats a unit of that player's choice. Fire tokens count as inaccessible tiles for Firefly units. Firefly units can be defeated for 2 energy. They are affected by surround and give each other backup. They are considered enemy units to players and can be affected by abilities and powers. However, Firefly units cannot be affected by Chaos powers and abilities. Firefly units are considered friendly to the Volcano and are not affected by any volcanic effects. However, a rock token can be placed on a Firefly tile, not containing a Firefly unit token, which makes it impossible for a Firefly to be summoned. Earth Elementals. Defeat the unit on the side of the Earth Elemental that corresponds with the rolled number on the white die. Then place a rock token on top of that tile. This rock token cannot be placed if the unit is not defeated. If a rock token is already present, defeat all units adjacent to the rock token and then remove the rock token. The tile beneath the rock token still has the same effect, if it had any, But the tile is now inaccessible until the rock token is removed. Players can remove a rock token for 1 energy when they have at least 1 friendly unit adjacent to the rock token. This is not considered a defeat. No surround bonus is applied. Fire Elementals. Defeat all units in range Y, in a straight line originating from the side of the fire elemental that corresponds with the rolled number on the white die, where Y is equal to the current round. Fire Lord. Defeat all units in range X divided by 2 of the Fire Lord, where X is the number indicated by the white die. Round it down. Step 10. Take back round powers. Players take their activated round power cards and place them back among their other power cards. These are the basic rules of Rite. We will now have a look at the different factions, and for each faction I will explain the objective, the units, the powers, their special tile, their way of gaining faction energy, their rite of summoning, and their rite of power. The humans. Objective. If a friendly cleric or an angel is on a shrine tile, and there are at least 3 friendly units adjacent to the same shrine tile, the shrine tile is activated. Flip it. When all shrine tiles are activated, the human player wins the game. The human player has 4 units. The knight, the lightbringer, the cleric, and finally their commander, the angel. The human player also has 4 powers: Rally, Pilgrimage, Sacred Grounds, and Ascent. The human player gains 1 faction energy at the end of the round, step 5, for each friendly unit on or adjacent to an activated shrine tile. Rite of Summoning. If the human player has 4 Lightbringers adjacent to an activated shrine tile, place Angel on the activated shrine tile. Rite of Power. If the human player has an angel on a shrine tile and a lightbringer on each other shrine tile, he immediately gains access to all human powers. The banner tile. Friendly units on or adjacent to a banner tile receive +1 backup from the banner tile. Goblins. Objective. If a unit on a fire beacon tile is defeated by a fireball, the Breathe Fire ability, a fire token, or by the sign of the dragon power, the fire beacon tile is activated. Flip it. When all fire beacon tiles are activated, the goblin player wins the game. The goblins have 4 units: a fighter, the firebringer, a sorcerer, and the red dragon wormling. The 4 powers of the goblins are Lasting Flames, Reborn in Flames, Frenzy, and Sign of the Dragon. Faction energy. The goblin player gains 1 faction energy each time he defeats a unit and or each time one of his units is defeated. If the goblin player defeats one of his own units, he gains 2 faction energy, 1 for the defeated unit and 1 for defeating the unit. Rite of Summoning. If the goblin player has 4 Firebringers adjacent to an activated fire beacon tile, place Red Dragon Wormling on the activated fire beacon tile. Rite of Power. If the goblin player has Red Dragon Wormling on a fire beacon tile and a Firebringer on each other fire beacon tile, he immediately gains access to all goblin powers. Tunnel tile. For goblin units, tunnel tiles are considered adjacent to each other when moving. Undead. Objective. If a friendly necromancer or death is on a rune tile while the undead player defeats a non-undead enemy unit, the rune tile is activated. Flip it. When all rune tiles are activated, the undead player wins the game. The undead player can only activate 1 rune tile for every defeated enemy unit. The undead player has 4 units: the warrior, the deathbringer, the necromancer, and death. The undead player also has 4 powers: the runes of summoning, undying, the runes of power, and those who came before. Faction energy. The undead player gains 1 faction energy each time he places a warrior on the board using the necromancer, the boneyard tile, or his powers. Rite of Summoning. If the undead player has 4 deathbringers adjacent to an activated rune tile, place death on the activated rune tile. Rite of Power. If the Undead player has Death on a rune tile and a Deathbringer on each other rune tile, he immediately gains access to all Undead powers. Boneyard tile. The Undead player can summon a warrior on an accessible Boneyard tile for 1 energy. Chaos. Objective. If the Chaos player successfully moves a unit of an enemy faction under his total control onto a summoning tile of the corresponding faction, the unit is removed at the end of the round. Step 8. The Chaos player then gets controlled unit points for that faction equal to the cost of the units removed this way. For example, a cleric gives 3 controlled unit points. In a 3-player game, the Chaos player needs 6 controlled unit points per enemy faction to win the game. In a 4-player game, the Chaos player needs 4 controlled units points per enemy faction to win the game. In a 5-player game, the Chaos player needs 3 controlled units points per enemy faction to win the game. The Chaos faction has 4 units: Thought, Chaosbringer, Doppelganger and Hive Mind. The 4 powers of Chaos are Puppet, Corrupt, Total Control and Master of Puppets. Faction energy. The Chaos player gains 1 faction energy for each point of energy he spends on units of enemy factions. Rite of summoning. If the Chaos player has 4 Chaosbringers on enemy summoning tiles, he places Hive Mind on any summoning tile. Rite of power. If the Chaos player has a Chaosbringer or an enemy unit under his control on each of 6 tiles adjacent to Hive Mind, he immediately gains access to all Chaos powers. Fog tile. When a non-Chaos unflipped unit is on a fog tile, at any moment flip it. Chaos now controls this unit. Primals. Objective. Ultimatosaur has to defeat enemy units with a combined cost of 12 or 1 commander to win the game. For example, defeating a Necromancer, a 3-cost unit, gives 3 consumed units points. Track this on the consumed units card with a wooden marker. If Ultimatosaur is defeated, all progress on the consumed units card is lost. Remove the marker from the card. The Primal player has 4 units: the Hatchling, the Raptor, Rex and Ultimatosaur. The Primal player can only summon Hatchlings. When a Primal unit defeats an enemy non-Primal unit of a cost equal to the Primal unit's own cost or higher, he immediately evolves. Replace the Primal unit with a Primal unit that costs 1 energy more. If a Primal unit defeats an enemy non-Primal unit of a lower cost than his own cost, the enemy non-Primal unit is placed underneath the Primal unit. Once the combined cost of all enemy units underneath the Primal unit is equal to his own cost or exceeds his own cost, the Primal unit evolves and the unit underneath the Primal unit are returned to the reserve. Hatchling evolves into Raptor, Raptor evolves into Rex, and Rex evolves into Ultimatosaur. The Primal player also has 4 powers: Rush, Alpha, Group Hunt and Inescapable Jaws. Faction energy. The Primal player gains X faction energy when he defeats an enemy unit, where X is the base cost of the defeated unit. Defeating an enemy commander grants 10 faction energy. Rite of summoning. If Rex evolves into Ultimatosaur, one of the 3 tiles he occupies must be the tile the Rex occupied. When placing Ultimatosaur, he can be placed on rock tokens, removing them, and on non-commander enemy units, defeating them, immediately gaining points on the consumed units card. Rite of power. If the Primal player has 8 friendly units adjacent to Ultimatosaur, he immediately gains access to all Primal powers. Jungle tile. A Primal unit on a jungle tile cannot be defeated by volcanic effects or enemy actions, abilities, or powers in any way. Well, that's it. I hope you now have all the information you need to play Rite. If you like this video, you can like, comment and subscribe. Also, you can have a look at dotwoodgames.com for more information and of course to buy the game. Also, if you have any questions, please send them to info@dotwoodgames.com. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.